Welcome everybody, Doug McKay, anti-wallstreetguy.com on Friday the 13th. Looking at a chart of the S&P 500 cash, we closed on Friday at 1337. I drew this trend line in here this morning, and again, we want to, in a nutshell, for some of us short-term guys, we want to be able to hold the low that we put in on Thursday the 12th. If you look over to the left there, that low was 1332. My concern is all this space here, also this gap here. If we were to break basically this low that we put in yesterday, or even today's intraday low at 1333, the odds are we're heading lower. Now, what we're going to probably see is a series of lower highs and lower lows like we're looking at here. If we were to close above yesterday's high, in other words, we're in this range here. If we were to close above yesterday's high, basically of 1351, 1352, in that range, certainly if we were to get above 1360, that would be bullish. If that was to happen, I would still have my stop just under yesterday's candle. So I believe we're heading lower. Although yesterday was pretty decent, but it looks like we're going to test this support area down here. And as I mentioned yesterday, or 2 days ago in the post, too many pullbacks at 1340, the odds favor that we're going lower. In other words, you hit support too many times, we're going lower. If you are more of a long-term, buy and hold person, I would be concerned if we broke this low here around 1294. I would also be concerned if we broke around 1320. Okay, so right now I would either be hedging or looking to get short. You can always cover that short if we get above 1360 on the S&P. Let's take a look at gold. Pretty much the same thing. In other words, we want to be able to hold on a close the low that we put in yesterday. Again, if you look over to the left in the box, the low was 144.96. Now, there were probably hard stops parked there today. 144.96, just underneath that. We went intraday as low as 144.49. 144.49. We have a stop on this roughly in the 145.07. Some of the individuals that I manage that want to hold gold, we are hedging at 1-for-1 with DZZ. If gold breaks even lower through 144, we'll let the DZZ run and exit the GLD. Now, it's hard to say where this is going to go. In other words, what would change my opinion on gold? Again, we are holding this trend line on a close, but if we get below that, that's no good. We're also making a lower high here, 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 very similar to the S&P 500. So we almost have a symmetrical triangle here. As a matter of fact, if we were to take this line here and give it one of these shots like this, that's kind of what we're looking at. So we want to break, we want to get above that. In other words, we want to, I would say, even get above this area here. If we were to get above the high in this candle of 148, maybe we can test 150. But again, my concern right now on gold in most commodities is that they're going to go lower. All right, meaning lower highs, lower lows. Let's take a look at some of the short ETFs that we had on. This is Doug here, which is double short oil and gas. Again, we want to kind of play this tight. As it is, this moves double the ride. So you got to give it a little bit of room, but we want to park right under this candle here. So far, that's working out. If we were to close above the high yesterday of 3106, that is certainly a plus for the ultra short DUG, ultra short oil and gas. We also had a chart up of the SDS, which is the double short S&P 500. Again, you can either use these as a trade with a fairly tight stop or to hedge any existing long positions. Very similar chart. If we get above the high that we put in yesterday on this of 2058, that increases the odds that we're going higher. It's quite possible we go back up, as we stated 2 days ago, and fill this gap here. As far as silver, we are out of this. But again, if you're playing this short, be careful. I would still use a tight stop at 1922. I believe that the overall trend right now in the metals is to go up and then they'll sell off again. Very similar to silver. We can take a look at the ETF DBA. You can see that's breaking down as well. I think any bounce we get here is shortable. Let's take a look at, here's an email that we'll talk about on the show tomorrow. This is Goldman Sachs. Let's take a look at this on a weekly chart. Now, we own this in the managed accounts a while ago. You can see basically 4 months ago, almost to the day. And we had a stop around 166. So our stop was basically in this area here. Today we closed at 141.46. Now, we could find support. Again, you're looking at a weekly chart here. We could find support right in this area where we're at today, or very close to it. For me, I think we're going to get a bounce here, but I probably think we'll put in a low around this 132 in that area, maybe 135. So if you were to take a trade in this as a counter trend trade, make sure you use a stop 4 ticks under the low. You might get knocked out a couple times, but there will be some type of bounce here. Again, you're looking at a trade, hoping that it will find support. If we take a look at the XLF, obviously that's breaking down as well. Let's take a look at this on a weekly chart. We said a while ago, basically 3-4 weeks ago, that until we got above the line here of 16, it was breaking down and it was still shortable. All right, there is support. You can see here around the 1557 level if you wanted to take a shot at it. For me, I'd just rather go with the trend. But the overall trend right now in the indices, it's pretty much what we said last week. It's basically neutral to down, neutral to down. Even though we're only a couple percentage points off the high, it certainly looks like it wants to go lower. We put this post out yesterday. It certainly looks like it wants to test the breakout area, which is this range right here. Which in this case, we're looking at basically another 200 points lower on the Dow. If we were to get above this candle here, just looking at it technically from pattern recognition, if we were to get above 12,780, I would cover any short positions or I would add to any long positions. But for right now, the overall trend is neutral to down. To me, it looks like we want to go lower. All right, you guys, that's it. Doug McKay, antiwallstreetguy.com. Have a great weekend on the 13th Friday of May. We'll see you next week.